What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, for being subscribed. If you're not, hit that button. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to go ahead and brighten up the place. Let's get into this podversation.
You have Mr. Lloyd, who goes to work at 6 a.m., comes home at 6 p.m. I would kind of build a bridge because hard conversations require a bridge. I lived in my imagination. No disrespect to nobody who's a janitor or a housekeeper, but my mom and dad, they were housekeepers. Mm-hmm. So I lived in my imagination a lot. Like, I saw all this. I saw movies. I saw radio. I seen music in my head, but none of that was my reality in the reality of my now. Yeah. So where did the guy that you represent on social media, like, where did he come from in your heart and your head? Was that something you wish for your mother? Because truly, I see now Mr. Lloyd probably wasn't that.
No. So whenever I talk, man, I actually try to keep it separate from me. I rarely talked about get like me. I'm this type of person.
Right.
My platform was largely executive produced by the people who asked me questions.
Oh,
so if you ask me
to what we were talking about. No, if you want to know the answer, just go in the comments.
Yeah, straight like that. You know, in the DMs or something like that. So if a woman said, well, D, you know, what should I expect on my birthday? Well, I mean, I'm just giving the general. It's just like, well, a man, if he cares about you, is probably going to remember your birthday, at least make an effort to, even if he's not rich. So I would speak to these things, and now I understand it. It implies this image like, oh, he must be doing every single thing. And I'm like, no, when I come and I speak, I'm in a completely different space. I'm almost approaching it like your big brother, your big cousin. Like, this is what it is. I got my own flaws and hang-ups, but this is what it is. And I'm going to tell the truth. So I guess you can kind of say, like, the highest form of conception of as far as how we're supposed to walk was what I was trying to advocate for, which should be the standard. Even in ways I fell short or other men fell short or realistically we all fall short at some point, it was like, well, this is the truth. This is what I'm going to speak on and stand on. And you do with it what you will.
Yeah. So, you know, I look at Derrick and I see you totally different because I don't just hang out on social media all the time watching whatever you're saying or what have you. Like, I do my best to do my due diligence to connect with you directly. Yeah. But I do have to know this. I did not watch anything that your wife had the opportunity to say. Not that I did not think it was valuable. Not that I didn't want to, you know, maybe hear, you know, her perspective of what have you. Yeah. But I do want to ask you this. When you look at marriage, how does Derrick Jaxn see it now? Like, considering that you've been through a lot, I do want to bring this part up. You do have children. How many children do you and her have?
I have 3 children. They're all with her. 6, 5, and 1.
6, 5, and 1. So you have small children. She's now being extremely vocal about whatever her story is. Everybody gets the opportunity to form an opinion based upon one side of that particular story.
Yeah.
What scares you the most about the children?
What scares me is that, you know, they're too young to understand now. My eldest is 6. She'll be 7 this year. She already occasionally will, you know, see my face and click on it when she's on YouTube or something like that, just because we share YouTube accounts and stuff. She'll feel like she needs to choose sides.
Yeah, that sucks.
Because she hears, you know, what mommy is saying, but it's above her maturation to truly understand the nuances, and it's really not something she's supposed to be in. Or she'll say, you know, daddy, you're bad because, you know, you did this, or mommy, you're bad because you're saying this about daddy in this space that maybe it shouldn't be. I don't want, like, for mommy and daddy roles, I just feel like that's something the child shouldn't necessarily be exposed to. And I fear that we won't be able to necessarily sort that out after she gets a hold of Google or whatever her friends is putting her on, because she does carry a name that some people know.
All right, guys, that was a clip from an interview that Derrick Jaxn did on the Willie Moore Jr. Live YouTube channel. I will put a link to the interview in the description box if you want to go and check it out. I did listen to the majority of it, honestly, close to the end. It was nothing like Danaia Jackson's interview, so it was not some hanging on, wait for the continuation situation sort of interview, but it was a little over an hour. So it wasn't this 3-hour event that had to continue on a separate date, which I can appreciate because I don't have a whole lot of time. And I can say that I listened to the majority of Danaia's interview on that other person's platform in passing as I was doing other things. It just took a lot of time, and it was a very annoying interview. One, because the interviewer was extremely annoying in my personal opinion, and it was funny to me because I mentioned how his laughter was getting under my skin, and I heard other people say it after I did. Not saying that they said it because I did, but I'm just saying it was cool to know that I had some validation in that. Not that I was seeking it, but that was annoying. And with Derrick Jaxn's interview, close to the end of it, even though it wasn't as long as her interview, it was a little bit annoying because there was this music that was playing, that was kind of like, okay, we get it. You're trying to get people to feel emotional and feel some type of way about him. I feel no type of way about Derrick Jaxn because to me, he is no different than Hotel Jackson, birth name Martell from Love and Marriage Huntsville. He and Willie Moore Jr., they actually ironically discussed narcissism and narcissistic personality traits in this interview. And I found it a bit comical that Derrick Jaxn had the nerve to speak about it, to say, you know, that's funny. It's the buzzword of the day, of this day and time that we're in. Everyone's a narcissist, but we all have narcissistic personality traits. I don't agree with that. And although I will say that, yeah, we as who are not licensed to diagnose anyone, we can't necessarily say someone is a narcissist, but we can actually say we think they are, or we think they have some of those traits. And he cannot tell me that he doesn't. And I would venture to say that he pretty much is. But this is what I will say, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this dude. He's trash in my personal opinion. But honestly, Danaia Jaxn, she's no better. She's just on, I guess, a different side of the coin. It's still a flawed coin, but it's just two different sides of the same coin. So she's no better to me than he is, and I still do not see her as a victim. He said he's done. Because when Willie Moore Jr. was speaking about some things and saying, you know, what do you think that you could learn, or what would you do different going into your next relationship, or hey, maybe this relationship is reconciled. And he just was like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm done. And he said that he stayed too long. Now, I have said this before, that I felt that Danaia still wants her husband, and she just wants him to be a different Derrick Jaxn, but she still wants that man. And I also believe that even though he filed for divorce, I don't believe that he necessarily wants to be divorced. I think he would be happy if she would be okay with him living a life separate and apart, but still being a part of the children's lives. They can stay married. He can live his life as a single man, but just let him do whatever he wants to do and screw whoever he wants to screw and do whoever he wants to do. I think that he would be fine with that if she would be okay with it. But because she is trying to live this life of being this holy girl, like she likes to call it, which I feel that it's holes in the girl, flaws, deficits. She is not whole, WHOLE. So because she is not whole, she has a lot of holes. So she is holy, HOLEY. Not holy in terms of Christian-like and grace and all that other stuff. She's weird. Anyone that can go through the things that she has experienced, for the most part, willingly, and then think that you can charge someone $3,000 to $5,000 for the benefit of working with you as a mentor, so they can be healed and they can somehow grow from infidelity, being in a relationship with someone that was consistently unfaithful to them, is weird to me. And someone that is a ripoff. Listen, Derrick, he tried to come across as sympathetic in this interview, wanting people to feel some type of way about what he's gone through, and in some ways, trying to be remorseful about the things that he has done. But for the most part, he was trying to defend himself, but not really going into details. Because unlike Danaia, who was pretty much opening up the diary and reading the dates and going line by line and giving blow by blow details of everything that's happened, he said, well, I'm not going to go into details about things. So I'm not going to go into all of that or whatever. But he was trying to defend himself to say that a lot of the hookups and flings and whatnot that happened when he was with her, they kind of weren't together because they had so many times where they would separate and get back together, separate and get back together. So even though he said that they were married for, I believe it was married for 5 years, and they had all together, he says, been together for 14, but overall, he said out of those years, there were probably only 9 of them, and not even including the marriage, because it wasn't like once he got married, then he stopped cheating on her. But he said altogether out of the 14 years, there were probably only 9 of them, and that's being generous, where it was just she and he. So he's just like, I'm done. The other guy, he asked me to do an interview on his podcast, but I refused to do it unless she was going to sit down with me, because I felt like it needed to be a conversation between the two of us and not just, okay, she came on, she told her side, now I'm going to come on and say my side. I actually would have been interested in seeing something like that, because it wouldn't be the first time that that guy has done an interview on his podcast where he was interviewing a couple that wasn't together anymore. So that wouldn't be a first for him. So who knows? Maybe Derrick got that idea from his YouTube channel, from his podcast. I don't know. But I can't feel sorry for him. I never will. Nothing about him to me is attractive. And just looking at his arms, looking like tree trunks, to me, he just looks weird. And so for him to sit there and say, well, pretty much saying, well, these people that I was giving all of this advice to was just do as I say, not as I do, because I'm not even speaking of my own experiences. I'm just answering the questions in the comments, or people are sending me DMs asking me questions. And so I'm doing a video and I'm creating content around it, even though I'm not even necessarily living that life. So again, he's not denying that he is a liar. Okay. And I guess there's some people that are absolutely still okay with that because he still has a lot of followers. I'm not saying he hasn't lost any. I've never been a follower of his and I never will be, but he definitely was here to say, look, it was what it was. And I'm not saying that I didn't have love for her, but he actually said that he had love for her. He never said that I loved her or I do still love her. And that to me is extremely problematic, but indeed it's a real thing. Because when Willie Moore Jr., said that, I could see that the love you have, the love that you have, I see that you loved her. And he's like, yeah, I had love for her. That's not saying I loved her or I love her. Saying I love you is not the same thing as saying I have love for you. That's like the Heavy D song back in the day. I got nothing but love for you. It's like, yeah, you might care for me, but you don't love me. If someone told you, I care about you or I care for you versus I love you, when you're thinking that that person loves you and you love them, you would not be okay with that. So he said, yeah, I had love for her. So this is the woman that he had 3 children with. He was married to for all those years, was back and forth with her from the college days. And he even talked about that, how she had money and he didn't. So he absolutely was using her and she was okay with that. She definitely had a lot of issues, still does. So I'm not blaming her for him using her, but for her to try to springboard off of his lies and how she was in this business with him, living this lifestyle, behind the scenes, and now you want to profit off of it to make courses and products for holy girls and sell the Christian community, more so women than men, who already are by and far being manipulated, being abused a lot of times mentally, emotionally, some physically and sexually. Yes, indeed. I'm going to do a conversation talking about that as well. But it's absolutely crazy that she's trying to profit off of the pain that she's still in. I don't have a problem with people profiting off of their pain, but in the right way and in the right spirit. And to take advantage of people who already are low and feeling some sort of connection to her, and then they're going to dig in those pockets to pull out money that they absolutely don't even really have to give, to invest in her to be quote unquote healed, and to come back from being in a relationship with someone who was committing infidelity. I just don't agree with that. And I don't know how he's making his money. I don't know if he's still making money. I mean, I'm assuming he's still making money off of the content that he's already had out there. I'm assuming so. But in terms of anything new that's going on, any projects, I didn't hear him speak about anything like that. And I think he knows that he's going to have to edge his way, probably like a lot of the grifters do, that somehow have burned the secular community. Then they want to weasel their way into the what we call the Christian community to say, I'm like the song, Donnie McClurkin song, I fell down, but I got up. And then you want to seek grace and mercy in the church, and then you turn that into something to profit off of. It's not genuine. It's not real. I just don't see it for him at all. I don't see it for her either. I don't feel sorry for her. I definitely don't feel sorry for him. The only people that I feel sorry for are those children. Because when he talked about his daughter seeing things on social media and speaking to him about it, that child is still young. So can you imagine what it's going to be like when they get older? And just looking back on things and seeing what transpired and how daddy treated mom, seeing how out there mom was. It's gotta be hard. I'm quite sure it will also be embarrassing. And it's sad that people like this are out here on social media. It's a grift. Go to school, get a trade, get some real skills, and make money behind the scenes where we don't even have to see you. Why do these people have to grift and get out here on social media to try to make money off of people that they get to emotionally connect to them? It's sick to me. So I just wanted to talk about that, guys. If you listened to the interview, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about what I shared here today. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.